I hear it in the air. I feel it in the air. Who's your neighbor? Who's your friend? Oh, there's hate all around. I don't care about your fucking politics. I don't want to hear about your politics. Oh, well, he said boo. Oh, and she said hooray.
All right.
Hooray!
It's the In Game Theory podcast. Rock and roll.
Rock and all road.
Are you ready to rock? We've got two kittens over there. I hope eventually they don't hang out up here much, but I'm hoping then we might get a run through.
Okay, nice.
That'd be nice. We could have a special guest.
Call it the world premiere.
Candace Haters Epic Self-Own. That was amazing.
The what?
The thing you sent.
Oh, right. Wasn't that so good?
Oh, yeah. So great. And, oh, yeah. And I wanted to keep this going because this.
Yeah, no, the Boomer Illuminati thing is so good.
It just keeps happening.
Yeah, right.
Like we've developed this secret plan that's going to happen tomorrow. Let me do a quick Google search.
Right. No one.
It's like, Grandpa, I told you. You have to
know.
turn on the VPN first. It's like, I always forget it. And came up with a message and said, "Do you want to update it?" And now I'm updating it. God damn it, Grandpa!
You're giving away the family secrets for nothing, Grandpa.
I know, no,
Shut up,
exactly. How did you rule the world for the past 400 years? How did this happen?
I know.
Damn.
It's like the new world order.
Yeah. They're gonna like email you, like asking your permission. Like, could we take over the world? Could you fill out this Google form?
Will Yahoo Mail allow us to take over the world? It's like, right, all the kids are on MySpace, right? It's like, we'll collect all their data on MySpace.
Yeah. I paid $3.9 billion for all the MySpace data. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No one uses MySpace anymore.
No one's on MySpace. You don't know what you're talking about, Sonny. Leave this to the adults in the room.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh,
so funny.
Got a honey bun.
Yeah.
This didn't have the subtitles. That's sterile.
What's up?
Nothing. I wanted to finish the Pax Judaica here at the bottom, but I didn't have the big closed captioning on. And I want to close this tab. I've had it open for too long. This when who is it that sent it? Well, let's see. Adam Schiff and Richard Durbin, both senators, sent this letter on December 10th to the acting inspector general Bertham or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're like, basically it's like you know, by law, you have to release all of these Jeffrey Epstein files, but we know you're not going to, but we want to make sure that we're just calling you out on it before you don't do it. You know, basically. And they've been, and they were right. I mean, that doesn't take some kind of smart person to predict that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. But although I will be honest, Adam Schiff is not a good look. You know, that dude is so bad.
Yeah,
he is such bad news. Talk about Boomer Illuminati. That guy is just retarded.
He's just a boomer, bro. He's not the Illuminati.
like I know. Like, I don't know if you like, you know, that was when, I mean, that was Adam Schiff is kind of what turned me on to Jimmy Dore. Because he went on to Tucker Carlson's show before Tucker Carlson got red pilled. And this was like when Russiagate was in full swing, and every fucking, Democrat I knew became like a far, far right winger, except they got to pretend like they were the opposite. And Adam Schiff went on to Tucker's show and was like, we have the proof. Trump is a Russian asset. He works for Putin. And, peddling that nonsense. And then Tucker Carlson was like, okay, so if you really think that, and you really believe that, like, look into this camera right here and say 100% that you know that to be a fact. And Schiff just is like, well, we have X, Y, and Z. And he's like, look, all right, stop saying that bullshit. Stop with your mealy mouth bullshit. Look into the camera and say, we know this 100%. And just stop with this fuckery. And he's like, well, it's like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you see, you can't even do it. You can't even look into this camera right here and just basically say straight up what you're trying to insinuate, and you're saying, and it was like, wow, like Adam Schiff made Tucker Carlson look like fucking Seymour Hersh, and it's like, that's fucking how bad Adam Schiff and the Democrats have become. They're making Tucker Carlson look like Seymour Hersh, And
I've been liking Thomas Massey, like that guy. He's just like, he's like, sorry if your favorite person is on this pedophile list. Wow.
Like, totally.
Like, wow, okay. Can you please keep going?
I know.
Could you not stop as soon as you get popular enough to get the big money put in your pocket to with the quid pro quo being shut the hell?
I know.
Could you keep doing this after you get your corporate sponsors, please? Like, please?
Please? Thomas Massey is like, he's the real deal. That's why I remember, like, months ago, I was like, Thomas Massey's like the only one.
Like, do you have ethics?
I know, exactly.
Like, are you like, feels weird to like watch a politician and be like, wow, I guess maybe they stand for something. I don't know.
I know, right?
I'm not sure yet. I'm still not convinced. Like, I've been burned too many times. You know what I mean?
Totally.
If you'll keep this up for longer than a year or something, right? Like enough to beyond gain the popularity that type of
he's been consistent, man.
Well, keep it going then.
Yeah, I'm telling
you. Keep it going until I'm convinced.
like I'm not like an expert on him. I'm sure there are things that I, a person could bring out and be like X, Y, and Z, and I'll be like, I don't agree with him or like that about him. But that being said, like AIPAC, tried to overthrow him and tried to put all this. Yeah, no, exactly. And they couldn't. They put all this money into his opponent and they couldn't defeat him. And it's like, it's so funny because Trump's real base, like the base that isn't retarded, the base that is like whatever, that you and I would agree with on whatever, a decent amount of things, they are like, what the fuck is Trump doing going after Massey? Because Trump keeps trying to go after Massey because Massey takes no Israeli money. And he's actually like kind of like a libertarian, which is what a lot of Trump's base ultimately are, or lean towards that.
Yeah.
And libertarianism is, one of the only things that stood the test of time. Like progressivism has just turned into nonsense. I once considered myself a progressive. Now I'm like, this is for retarded racist people, who think they're not racist, because like if they keep on repeating that they're anti-racist, then that makes them not racist. And I mean, and that guy, Senator Ron Johnson, also, he, I think I sent you where he went on the Dark Horse podcast and, they're trying to bring up the 9/11 stuff. you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron Johnson also is like, was ahead of the curve on COVID and was calling out the bullshit while, most people that we know were becoming fascist and Nazis. Like Ron Johnson was like, no, these vaccines are toxic, and these other treatments. I'm just saying, like Massey and Ron Johnson, and I guess you could say Rand Paul a bit,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm sure there are things that like you and I will not like love about them, but at least they've maintained some degree of consistency.
Right. Right.
And they've been right about some of the major issues like COVID and 9/11, which is, I'm just saying, like Bernie would never do that.
Yeah.
Bernie is like too big a part of the machine. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's upsetting because I once really liked him
Yeah, me
and thought
too.
he wasn't part of the machine. But that was when I was bamboozled. That was when I
Or
was
he's like a very reluctant part of the machine, but part of the machine nonetheless.
yeah,
He's like the cog that doesn't really want to work, but then still
yeah,
does, you know?
yeah, exactly. They're like, look, just keep on talking about millionaires and billionaires. And, I mean, I love this stance about the Medicare for all. I mean, look, there was a lot I really liked about Bernie, but then like he had that opportunity
Yeah.
to take that
Yeah.
movement and
Yeah.
make it a real thing,
Yeah.
and he sold out,
Yeah.
or likely they had compromising information on him or his wife or some shit like that, and they were like, "Look, dude, you can go around and you'll be on these committees, you'll become this, political celebrity, you can sell a book and make a lot of money, and or you can try to take your act on the road, and then we'll we'll take you down because they all have stuff, you know
Mm-hmm.
they all have things they did, and some weird corruption shit, that I know there was all this stuff that came out about some real estate stuff with his wife or whatever, and I don't even know anything about it. I don't really even care, you know but it's I just try to make sense of like, why would he sell out so badly?
Yeah.
Like unless he just isn't who I thought he was, which is probably at least part of the truth,
Yeah.
And I know Chris Hedges, talked about, like, Chris Hedges called it, like in like 2015. He's like, Bernie Sanders is gonna be a sheepdog for the left. Like,
Do you wish him?
Mobilize the progressives and get them back into the Democratic Party, and then when the Democrats fuck him over in the end, he'll sell out and get his whole base. He's trying to get his whole base to vote for Hillary.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
I remember.
mean, and I was like, no, Chris, you're wrong on this. There's a political revolution.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
Oh, I was so young and naive. Oh my God, I didn't know any better. Yeah, and he was like, maybe like Jesse Ventura was like, Bernie, I like you. Like, why would you run as a third party?
I know.
And he goes, no, because I don't want to be Ralph Nader. I don't want.
Right.
Where it's like, what? Like, dude, it's whatever. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's part of where I was like, all right, this whole left thing is not what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess it's mostly the Democrats. I do think, I don't know if you ever saw that, like, but like, when Cornel West went on Jimmy Dore, like about a year ago or something, when he was like briefly running for president, and it was like, Jimmy Dore would describe it as like the saddest like victory lap he's ever had, because he like loved Cornel West, and Cornel West just exposed himself on this interview because he's like, Trump's a fascist, and Biden is just a milquetoast neoliberal. It's like, oh my God. It is like, you fucking idiot. Like, not you, Cornell, because you always had this soul. You always had this thing. And now you just like sold it, and then it came out that he has some financial issues and tax shit,
Oh, really? Really?
whatever.
Oh, okay.
Again, stuff I haven't like looked deeply into. I bet you someone could be like, that's nonsense and that's been debunked. But I've heard that, and he hired on, some of these Democratic people, like consultants, that it was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't need that shit. You can go and you can be the Black Bernie. It doesn't sell out, but yeah, he's just too much of a Democratic lackey, and that's the good thing about Thomas Massey is like he's not really like Republican. Like, he's kind of like he's like a Republican the way Bernie used to be a Democrat, you know?
Yeah. Got
And
another visitor. Hold on, who we got here?
Okay. Yeah.
We got another one.
What are their names?
Well, when we adopted them, they had their adoption names, which is Pancake and Waffles. But we are still, we're with the smaller one. I think is going to end up being Luna. And the larger one right now, the one that's sticking a little bit is Moxie. But okay. It's not official. I think the little one is I think Luna is gonna stick with the little one, but we're just not there with the slightly larger. They're both sisters.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's the update there.
Okay.
Let's finish this dance routine with this dog. Let's hear the music.
Cell phone service. You the boss, the kid in the shop.
They use the Will Smith version of the Aladdin song. I'm sure this lady's a big fan of Will Smith. His target demographic, I'm sure.
Right? I'm sure.
Middle-aged women with dogs.
Oh man, how he fell from grace, huh?
Yeah,
And it was
that whole slap thing was amazing.
That was amazing. And like the way that like all those trained SEALs just clapped and were cool with it. And when he won the Oscar, they all applauded him. And then the next morning when it was like the memo got released that it's like we all have to punish him. And they're like, yes, how could he do that? It's like, you all were there, you all cheered it on, but now that it's unpopular, you all jump ship.
Yes, well, yes, you can't have ethics in that business. So, right. No.
Yeah.
No way.
None. Yeah, but that guy that you sent with the Santa Claus looking guy.
Oh, the Hermeto guy?
That was interesting.
Yeah, unbelievable. Did I send you the one also where he's in the stream?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my Lord. That was the first one that got sent to me. He's like in a stream playing with flutes, like other people, and they've all got flutes, and they're playing with like the water and playing with flutes and stuff. And it's just incredible.
You gotta send me that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a fun energy about him too.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Like at first I was like, what is this?
Yeah, me too. Of course. But I had seen some other stuff by him, so I was like, okay, I'll give this a couple of minutes. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna watch this whole thing. I guess I'm kind of boring today because it's just been all Christmas and holiday stuff over here. You know what I mean? I've been and with the kittens too, I'm a less on screens as well, you know. I was looking back through text messages and stuff like that. I was like, oh yeah, I hadn't sent that much stuff and just been doing all the regular holiday crap. Come on.
How was your holidays?
Oh, really good. Really good. It's the main thing is that everybody's off. Rachel's off work, Emery's off school, so we can just hang out a lot more than usual. How about you? Anything happen over there? Our holidays go okay?
Yeah, everything was cool.
Nice.
Nothing too major.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Jimmy Dore clip was pretty great, you know, where they're showing that that whole like accidental reveal. They're like reading this thing and like, oh, not supposed to share.
Oh yeah, that part also. Yes. And that doesn't even address the claims for the date. They're just like, yeah, on the 11th, this happened. It's like, no, we're asking about the 9th, you losers.
No, right?
And then the like, yeah, my dad is super crazy. But they called me from the base, you know, they called me and you know, his son is like, yeah, they called me from Camp Huachuca. He was there. And they're like,
They're like, you're not supposed to say that.
Oh, crap. No, and I think also that's not exactly Boomer Illuminati, but I think it is similar because I don't think it has become as clear as it probably should be to the common person how everything we do, say, everywhere we go, every email we write, every conversation, every text is recorded, is logged and recorded. And you know, because in the past, let's go back 100 years, and that conversation happened when the guy wrote the corresponding newspaper article. He could just change the quote, right? You could just hide it. You could just, I'll just leave that part out, you know? And now it's like, no, there's like 6, like there were 2 teenagers nearby, and they made like 6 Facebook, Instagram posts with that guy in the background, and it's like, you're screwed. Like you can't, the amount, and now, I mean, which was obvious to begin with, but not to I don't think to the people who are buying them. Now all the flock cameras and ring cameras and stuff like that are going to gather and sell the facial recognition technology. Because you need a lot of cameras. You do want a lot, which is what, you know, Japan and China are both showing us. Is that basically you need a lot of cameras. You want as many cameras as possible, and that way you can enact your surveillance state.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention it's you know, the rings within rings. It seems like a lot of the people that are, you know, gonna implicate themselves are obviously not going to be inner circle people, you know. So it's going to be people who, you know, are in the outer circles who aren't that vital to it. And, you know, everything is being surveilled, everything is being filmed and recorded. And yeah, and like you said, something that not that long ago you could have just erased it or removed it, but now and it's interesting because it almost, but another like interesting, I guess, reveal about this is that this stuff gets revealed and people like you and I find out about it, and we're like, all right, well, here you go, here's a hell of a reveal. But the average person is not gonna hear about this at all, you know. So So the old mechanism of control is still like somewhat effective, at not allowing it to even enter the debate and the discussion. So people like you and I are going to know about this stuff, but normal people are not going to hear about this or know about this, and we can bring up these details.
Right, unless it somehow ends up affecting them, right? Unless someone breaks into their house and then they call the cops, and the cops come and they see that they have like a ring cam by their front door, and then they're like, oh damn, it caught a picture of the guy that went into your house. Oh, we can just use this facial recognition data to track down who it is right now, and boom, they solved the crime that way. I think until it impacts the person, yeah, we won't realize. And that's like, I don't know, that's one of the things the ICE agents are using, is these facial recognition technologies. So they'll just go and take pictures of anybody and everybody around there and use that, and then they're logging that data. They just want everybody's biometrics, and that'll be really useful. And it's so cool. I don't know, like it's actually even easier to identify somebody by their walking gait. So everybody has a unique way that they walk, and it's way easier to identify that than the facial recognition, because with facial recognition you can wear a mask, blah 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 blah. But unless you're going to put like some pebbles in your shoe or some shit, your walking is way easier to identify, because it's like the center, like the hip bones or something, because like the leg lengths themselves are already a fingerprint, right? Because everything's unique. The leg lengths, the geometry between the legs, and then the way the person walks, it is a unique identifier. And they can do the same thing with writing. Within like one or two paragraphs of text, they can identify who wrote it.
Really?
Yeah, everybody has a particular style of writing.
Which makes sense. I just hadn't.
Of course. Yeah, no. So, the walking thing was really cool when I saw it, because it just projects like a wire frame over the skeleton of people walking, and the computer's just identifying them. Bam, 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 bam. So like you can do this from behind. You see what I'm saying? Like you can just have a group of people walking away from you, and the computer's like bam, 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 bam. Oh, there's that guy, that lady. Boom, 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 boom. Awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and but like to the average normal person, they're like, whatever. They're like, what's like that argument of, it was, I remember like closer to the time when, like 20 years ago when you and I first met, like saying that they're tracking us and surveilling us and listening to us, that was considered some of those paranoid conspiracy theories that a person could espouse.
Well, and now people pay for it to do, because I want my cool Ring camera for my front door or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But the argument they would make, the bullshit argument they make, well, if you got nothing to hide, then what do you care?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Well, and I think that's a great point. And so then you have to stress test that. It's like, okay, let me watch you take a dump then.
Right.
So then let's see how far you're going to take. Are you committed to this? Are you actually committed to this or not? You know what I mean? And I think most people are going to be like, well, I didn't mean it like that. I was like, yeah, exactly. You do want some privacy. Or the person's like, yeah, come watch me take a dump. And like, oh damn, you actually believe what you just said.
Yeah. Then don't mind if we film you jerking off. Or
exactly right. No, we already did. We have all the audio and video. We've got it. Is that fine? Can we just post that on like a YouTube channel? Are you fine with that?
Right.
And if the person is like, yes, then okay, cool. If they're not, then okay, then it was just a semantic point you were making earlier. And I'm saying either is fine, right? I'm not saying one way or the other. If a person wants privacy, fine. If a person wants to not have privacy, that's fine too. But yeah, in terms of what we're talking about is being able to talk about it, or it being like some weird conspiracy theory. And at this point now, people are like paying for it. It's not even like they would never do that. It's like, please let me pay for you to spy on me. Like I'll you see, the thing is I'll know when DoorDash gets here.
Mm-hmm.
See how great that is?
Right.
So like, it's fine. Like, I get a huge benefit. I know when I know when my Amazon package arrives and when DoorDash is here. It's fucking awesome, bro. I'll gladly sell my privacy data for this.
I don't know if you know about, there's this guy who, Jacques Baud.
Okay.
Jacques Baud. So you know what, I've sent you some of Alex Craner interviews.
Former colonel in the Swiss Army, intelligence analyst who specializes in intelligence and terrorism.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So he just got sanctioned.
Okay.
They're basically, remember that whole Aaron Russo and the phony Rockefeller thing?
Yes.
And how the guy, but even the guy that was a phony or not who he claimed to be, he was still laying out the plan. The plan still, has stood the test of time, that they do want to just make everything basically like you have some sort of microchip, and then if they don't like what you're doing, they just turn your chip off.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can't, buy shit. You can't go and travel or leave certain areas. And so this guy, remember, and so I was basically telling you, they started to do that to that UN, that woman from the UN about Israel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're doing it to this guy.
Yep. Well, and the Foucault method is that you don't even, of course you're going to do that, but really you don't. So the Panopticon idea is that there's the big middle tower in the center, and it's just the feeling that you are being watched. It's the idea that there is possibly a guard up there watching you, but amazingly the mechanism works even when there isn't a guard.
Yeah.
Because we're censoring ourselves. We feel the pressure ourselves. There's a chance that we could be watched. So it's even better. They just need to make us afraid of being watched, and it will still work. You don't even need, for most people, you won't even need to actually do anything. They will censor and police themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, my son is here. Hold on, I'm going to say hi to him.
Okay.
Hola. They're probably in their apartment. They were just out playing for so much. They aren't? Okay, is that one there that's underneath? Or am I imagining that? Just look around for their favorite spots. They might be in the trampoline too. What were we talking about? I don't remember anymore. I got distracted.
We were talking about the Panopticon.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, because once you're worried. Oh, maybe they're over here.
Self-censoring.
Oh, yeah, they're over here. That's hilarious. Yeah, the ones on top of the piano. The piano. Oh. I don't know. Go look around. Just be careful. They broke into the next area. That's excellent. Sure, if they're wanting to go now, that way they can get back to their home easier too. I don't know how they're going to get back over the couch. Nice, yes. They've unlocked a pathway. A new pathway. I've got this grip strength video going over here in the bottom right. This guy is like a champion, probably one of the top grip strength guys in the, like, not only the world, but over time as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What,
has some really interesting, like, they're just showing some really interesting ideas right now, like holding a basket and moving it with your hands, or holding like a 2x4 or a piece of wood and then using your fingers to make it turn, in your hands. You know what I mean? I don't know, just some really interesting, really cheap. He has a couple of exercises with towels and stuff like that. Just some really interesting, cheap ideas on grip strength training.
Yeah, because they say that grip strength is so important, especially as you get older.
Yeah, and it's one of the few areas of strength that doesn't diminish with age. That's why this guy is an older guy and still just kicking everyone's butt with grip strength stuff.
Huh. Interesting. So tell me about this, the UFOs as time travel devices.
Oh, okay. So this one, it's been a while. Let me look at this again. But yeah, basically, I think it was. So it starts with that 1933 Magenta, Italy UFO crash that I guess in the past, what is it, year and a half, kind of became more had some more evidence released around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know with the Trump stuff, remember we had looked at that when Nikola Tesla died, then
his
Trump's
uncle
I think, is like sent to go get all of his papers, and none of that is seen again. Meow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Tesla, blah blah blah. Let me get past this. See if there's anything good in here. Oh, and I don't know if you've ever looked at this, the Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. Have you ever looked at this before?
Oh, that book about, was that Donald Barr or something? Or is
No,
that
Ingersoll Lockwood.
okay? Because like Donald Barr
yes, of
is
course. Oh,
right.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, no,
Okay.
that was an amazing one too. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but this is that when the book that came out like what 100 years ago or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. According to the novel, Lockwood lived on the same street as Tesla when he wrote these novels and had access to the work that Tesla was a part of. The story itself talks about Baron Trump, the son of an elite leader traveling through time exploring modern history. There's particular mention of a Trump becoming a controversial president with a vice president named Pence.
Really?
Meow.
Damn.
So they start referring to it as the Lockwood Baron Trump story. And that includes how Wernher von Braun, the architect of the Nazis' V2 rocket program, was highly sought after by US and Russia. Alan Dulles, via Operation Paperclip, brings him here, where he creates the Saturn V program. There's a book by Wernher von Braun called Project Mars. And describes the first mission to Mars, and it's he added an appendix that was a technical specifications for an expedition to Mars.
And that on his deathbed, Wernher von Braun supposedly said that they're gonna stage a fake alien invasion.
Yes, absolutely. Technical tale. Oh, okay. So interest in this novel increased in 2021 when people connected the Martian leader called the Elon to SpaceX founder Elon Musk.
Interesting.
However, Errol Musk, Elon's father, asserted in 2022 that he was fully aware of the Von Braun connection in naming his son. People were saying, "Oh, it's like an accident." Oh, here's this is a cool exercise over here. If these things are just filled with water, and so it's about pushing and then pulling them back, and what happens is the water sloshes inside and gives this weird resistance to it because it sloshes both forward and backwards. And you're trying to fight the slosh. You're trying to move it in a control way.
Yeah.
Pull and push where the water doesn't slosh, so that you're not using so that's it's slow and controlled as opposed to jerking on it. There's some really interesting, cool exercise. Okay, let's see. Right. And then when Tesla dies in the hotel room in January 1943, Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, was sent in to retrieve the materials. He was working on X-ray research at the time and was brought in by Churchill to work on radar. John Trump was part of the rad labs at MIT alongside Vannevar Bush.
Oh yeah. Who was like
right?
very in charge of all this scientific blah blah blah. Yeah.
Because of the Alien Properties Act and Vannevar Bush's role as scientific advisor to President FDR and the man behind the Manhattan Project to build a bomb to end the war, Vannevar Bush was able to confiscate any material, foreign or domestic, to aid in the war effort. Of course, it always everything gets couched under national security, right?
Right.
Vannevar Bush was also the founder of Raytheon and was given the radar contracts for the UK and US in 1940 as World War II was expanding. Radar technology was built from the death ray technology of Tesla, Guglielmo Marconi, and others. And it's considered to be how humans first started accidentally, quote, maybe shooting down UFOs, which also, it sounds like the same thing happened when we did one of the atomic tests, is that it caused and there's a little short few frames of video of this. We tested a atomic bomb, and it, because of the scalar waves or something that it produces, it took down a UFO.
Interesting.
Which either was like an awesome byproduct or maybe on purpose.
Yeah, right.
And so it links the Magenta craft and Werner von Braun's rocket stuff, and that's about it. It just kind of tries to put all these things in a timeline. Cool.
Yeah, Jimmy Dore's sidekick, Kurt Metzger, I really like Kurt. He does his, I've sent you, he does his own little thing.
Yes, I've seen a few of those, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just like that. He reminds me of myself a little bit.
Oh, okay.
He's more of like a joker and comedian, has looked pretty deeply into a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to be some, I don't know, sober scholar. He's like a drunken master. Like, he just knows all this shit, and he's not claiming, to be able to accurately recall what's the source of what, and although sometimes he can, he's not, I guess something I struggle with that I appreciate in someone like Jimmy Dore or Bill Hicks or George Carlin or Kurt Metzger is that they're going to just kind of speak the truth. Like, I like that saying that a intellectual tries to say a simple thing in a complicated way, but an artist says a complicated thing in a simple way. And that's more what I want to be, instead of someone who is like, well, it's 3.28 centimeters, and because when you start going down that road, it's like you're turning off so many people, and maybe you're gonna, there's gonna be a few people that are, maybe you could argue, a bit higher brow that might be into that approach, but you're basically not gonna be communicating to the masses. You're only going to be, if you go at things in too technical an approach, you're gonna, you're not going to attract the masses, and not to mention, there's some sort of gamesmanship to the approach of quote unquote experts or politicians, how they're like 26.3% of women between the ages of 14 and 29 think that,
Mm-hmm.
and using, instead of just being like, look, roughly a quarter of the people,
Right. Yes.
You're like 26.3%.
Yeah.
It's like, it's this game where it's like, because I said 26.3%, now you're like, ooh, this is official data. This is some real technical jargon. This is not just some speculative, this is a credible source. But it's like, yeah, there's a reason why most people don't get into certain intellectuals, and there is something to, there are some ideas that only intellectuals could buy into
Yeah.
because they're so insulated and they're so like removed from reality oftentimes, that they might be capable of believing and buying into things that the average person like wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know if you ever saw during COVID, they like Fauci and some black female spokesperson for Fauci, they went in like,
Oh yeah, that you sent me that video. They started going
okay,
around this
right?
like neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and like the hood.
Right.
And they're going up to like normal people in the hood, and they're like, so, and it's about Fauci saying it, because they know if Fauci starts saying it, they're like, who's this fucking cracker, who's trying to, fool me with his 26.3%
Mm-hmm.
nonsense.
Yeah.
They're gonna have like, this woman who reminds you of like those racist Popeyes commercials. Like, come on, who are you gonna buy? Come on, young black Americans, who are you gonna buy fried chicken from? You're gonna buy it from some old white Southern man we call the Colonel, or you're gonna buy it from Mama. You're gonna buy it from Mama, right? Because you don't trust no cracker from from the deep South that speaks in the Southern accent, who's got white hair and a white beard. Like no, you're gonna believe Mama. Mama wouldn't steer you wrong. Come to Popeyes, and it's like Pfizer's, come to Popeyes, sales pitch, where this woman's going around. She's like, no, come on now. Listen to Mama. Mama says, go and get that vaccine, because that vaccine is going to save you. Then you can eat all the fried chicken you want. Mama says it's okay, and then the Colonel's like, and the Colonel approves, and it was like, it was so clear that they're like, yeah, if we have Fauci going, and it's, which works on, the dumb upper middle class white liberal, oh my God, he said 26.3%, or wow, it's got an the Pfizer shot has a 94.1% effectiveness rating, and because when I went and saw like a bunch of my like Ivy League lawyer friends, and at the time when, like, a few months after the rollout of the vaccine, and they'd all gotten it, and they were like grilling me about like, why didn't you get it? And I'm like, well, because the general rule in science is like, you don't take any type of medical product that hasn't been out there for at least 10 to 20 years, because you don't know what the long-term side effects are. And but of course that wasn't good enough for them, and they were like, but it's 94% effective, and they thought that meant that you weren't going to be able to catch COVID or pass it along, and that's because these are some fucking dumbass white people who are like, the government wouldn't lie to me, and Fauci is a great man. It's like, don't you guys know that Fauci's the one that tortured and put such a hurting on like the gay population during AIDS? Like, you guys ever see that Matthew McConaughey movie, Dallas Buyers Club?
Mm.
And they're like, yeah, that was a good movie. And it's like, yeah, the villain in that was Fauci.
Mm.
And they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, you guys claim to be LGBTQ, but you're supporting the guy that, caused more suffering in the gay community in our lifetime than pretty much anyone,
Mm.
But y'all don't know that, because there's a way, like, he's like mama selling you fried chicken, having some white guy that, talks like a nerd, looks like a nerd, but he's really, Donald Trump, whatever it is you guys think Trump is, it's like, that's what this guy is, except he's a professional, whereas Trump's an amateur,
Yeah.
Just how you market and sell and message to people, how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
And then whatever, like people like Chomsky, and then you find out that they got all fucking Epstein,
Yep.
and yeah, and it's just like, man, how hoaxed we've all been,
Yes.
and seeing some clip from the 80s. I should have sent it to you, from like Phil Donahue's show, where they had this like medical panel on the stage, and one of them was like, do you guys know that like 2/3 of the polio polio cases in the past however many years have been vaccine induced? Like, and then one of the other people's like, I've tried to share this stuff to Ralph Nader, and I'm trying to get it to Ralph Nader so he can do something about it, but no response from Ralph Nader, And I like Ralph Nader. I'm one of those people that's like, no, I think he's one of the good guys. I mean, he's been ideologically captured in certain ways. It's just how you compartmentalize everything.
Yeah.
You make it so that and it's funny because the left used to like be very critical of big pharma, but then it was like this new thing where it was like, and again, that's why it's like, I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not like anti-left. I'm just recognize that, the values that I once learned from the left, most of them are hypocrites about and don't walk that walk, but that isn't necessarily because the left is bad,
Right.
It's mostly because the Democratic Party just like totally got in bed with certain big business corporate interests, and the Republicans are in bed with slightly different ones, and there's a lot of overlap, but there's just a little bit of non-overlap, and that's good enough to keep the compartmentalization, rolling.
Yeah.
Which is really what so much of it's about.
Well, let's call it, bro.
Okay.
Basically perfect timing. Awesome as always. See you next time. Keep sending stuff. I'll keep sending stuff, and we'll keep plowing forth.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, I'll send you more stuff this week.
Awesome talking with you as always.
Great talking to you, Dogon.
Okay, talk to you later. Talk to you next time.
Buddy. Bye.